Hexagram 39. Meeting obstructions. The judgment. On meeting obstructions, the southwest furthers. The northeast does not further. It furthers one to see the great man. Perseverance brings success. Here the sage shows how the cosmos responds in a loving way when the passage ahead has become blocked with obstructions. All obstructions are caused by a person's failure to heed warnings given by his common sense against problematical elements present in a given situation. The first hints come in the form of small obstructions. Normally, those warnings would cause him to pause and ask for the sage and other needed helpers before proceeding. But here, these warnings have been overridden by the false self-confidence of the ego as the person presses ahead. Then the obstructions increase in severity, either because the person is creating a fate or because the sage has intervened to prevent damage. It is also possible that the person has not heeded his common sense because a spell or poison arrow has been put on it. See page 329, Hexagram 38, separating main text. The traditional image connected with this hexagram is that of a person caught between an inaccessible mountain and an abyss. Perseverance brings success points to the correct way to remove the obstruction by withholding judgment that it is unsurpassable. The key to this solution lies outside the obvious. Either you do this or you do that type of thinking. Without exception, such obstructions can only be resolved. Without exception, such obstructions can be resolved only through the helpers of the invisible world. This requires understanding their causes and making the necessary inner corrections. The sage teaches that there are basically three kinds of obstructions. Cosmic intervention, which makes a person aware of a mistake that he has just made. Obstructions in the form of spells that are created by mistaken ideas and beliefs. A fate a person has invoked through a series of arrogant decisions that disregard the cosmic principles of harmony. When the obstruction is a cosmic intervention, its purpose is to make a person halt in his mistaken action in time to prevent him from creating a fate. Making mistakes is a necessary part of the learning process, but it is not necessary that they must lead to adversity. If the person understands that the obstruction is a warning and he pauses to recognize that its cause is a mistaken idea, then he will be able to rid himself of it. This is the meaning of the southwest furthers, referring to the sunlit part of the mountain which can be seen clearly. The second kind of obstruction is caused by ideas that have formed a spell, such as the idea that you can only learn through adversity, or learning is difficult. Such spells project themselves into reality, causing repeated adversity for the sincere person who wishes to learn from the sage. The sage can just as well teach him through pleasant experiences as described in Hexagram 58, the joyful. When a person learns this lesson and deprograms the idea that he can only learn through adversity, his life can become a series of joyful learning experiences. Another kind of obstruction in the spell category are those caused by mistaken ideas and beliefs that have formed fixed oppositions between people or between people and the helpers. The spells they create stand in the way of making progress and are referred to by the phrase, "The northeast does not further." The northeast refers to the shadowy side of the mountain, meaning a person would try to advance without clarity. The third kind of obstructions are caused by ideas and beliefs that denigrate the cosmic helpers as insignificant or beneath notice, and that dismiss as non-existent all that cannot be experienced through the outer senses of seeing and hearing. Included are fears that slander the helpers as evil spirits because they cannot be seen. All of these ideas, in one way or another, block the natural attraction that would otherwise occur between the person and the helpers. As described in Hexagram 19, approaching jointly, this natural attraction exists, for example, between a person's inner senses and the cosmic helpers that are their complements. This attraction is like a magnetic force that draws them to cooperate with each other. The mistaken beliefs block the functioning of one or more senses, causing the cosmic helpers to be held in waiting. Lacking the helper's assistance, the person then limps along, trying to carry the world on his back. An important cause of obstruction is the view that something or someone is an obstruction. This view either maintains an existing opposition or creates a new one. Seeing the great man gives the remedy. To see the sage that exists in every person's presence, including one's own, and to ask the sage in the presence of each to help resolve the problem. Also see Hexagram 38, separating line 1. However, before the sage is able to help, the person needs first to free the other from the false or negative images he has put on him. Another cause of obstructions is a person's attachment to the idea that he or the situation is totally blocked. This view perpetuates the obstructions through projection. In all cases, striving against obstructions is counterproductive. Obstructions can only be resolved through identifying and transforming their causes in the realm of consciousness. Two mistaken ideas block a person's access to cosmic knowledge. One, the belief that it is hidden, and two, that it is to be acquired by finding people who possess it. The I Ching makes us aware that each individual person contains, in his original program, access to all cosmic knowledge. This access lies within and only needs uncovering. To revive his ability to look and listen within involves ridding himself of the ideas that obstruct it, such as, "I cannot meditate," or the conviction that the sage would not bother with me. A related group of spells revolve around the idea of spirituality. See the glossary on spirituality. Other spells that create endless obstructions are caused by the beliefs that life is a vale of tears. Life is suffering. There is no help available. You have to do it all yourself. No pain, no gain. You don't get anything for nothing. You are condemned by your mistakes, and you have to take sides. And rationales of the opposite kind that say, it's all for the best, and God did this to you for a reason, making the person accept the obstruction without searching for its cause in his psyche. Line 1. Going leads to obstructions. Coming meets with praise. This line counsels the person who is going out to resist the obstruction he has met, that his resistance will only lead to more obstructions. The obstruction is a cosmic intervention, the purpose of which is to make him aware of a mistake he has made. Coming meets with praise speaks of the beneficial effects of retreating from his lonely struggle with the obstruction and of opening his mind to recognize and let go of the attitude that has caused his mistake. This approach engages the helpers of the invisible world. This advice is contrary to that given by the collective ego, which would have him meet the obstruction head-on as a challenge to be overcome with force if necessary. Such an attitude prevents him from asking whether he has made a mistake. He may also need, therefore, to say the inner no to any assumptions that he is in the right. All obstructions indicate the presence of ego elements. Line 2. The king's servant is beset by obstruction upon obstruction, but it is not his own fault. The king's servant here is a metaphor for the person who sees himself as upholding the moral standards of the collective ego. In acting from his self-image, he creates obstruction upon obstruction. The obstructions he encounters have the purpose of preventing him from doing harm to others who are following their inner truth. Because he thinks he is working for the good, he believes himself to be free of fault and blames others for the obstructions. The line can also refer to a person who, through a misunderstanding of the term duty, has put a spell on himself through thinking that he has a duty to an idea, an institution, or to another person. The spell forces him into one difficult situation after another, all of which compromise his dignity and his integrity. He needs to free himself from the self-image of the dutiful person, which is a spell. A similar spell is created by the person who believes that it is his duty to fight for the good. The person has a false understanding of the word good. The idea of fighting for good implies there is an invisible and ongoing war between good and evil, in which each person must take a side. In its cosmic meaning, good is a synonym for the loving energy of the cosmic whole. Good is the prevailing principle of the cosmos, and therefore does not need to defend or fought for. It is dependable in itself. When a person depends on the manifestation of this energy, transformation is activated. This is observable when a person calls on the sage in both his own and others' presence to resolve the difficulties between them. Evil is neither part of the natural order nor part of the makeup of the cosmos. Rather, evil is a false consciousness built on the human delusions that have created the parallel reality. Evil owes its existence and power to each individual who maintains those delusions in his consciousness. As a false consciousness, evil can only be transformed within the psyche of the individual who harbours the mistaken ideas. This requires a systematic and consistent effort to deprogram the mistaken ideas and beliefs behind those illusions. This transformation always requires the help of the sage and the helpers, Any fighting of evil only energizes and promotes the parallel reality. This line may refer to a person who is experiencing obstruction after obstruction because he does not observe his cosmic limits, as in thinking he has rights and privileges over others. He may be pressing himself on others, or not respecting their space, or he may be harboring a hard attitude that is creating or supporting obstinacy in them. He needs to say the inner no to any of these or like ideas and attitudes in himself and deprogram those that are spells. This line can also refer to obstructions either in oneself or another person that have been caused by spells, projections, or poison arrows that were put on him during childhood. He needs to seek the help of the sage to identify and rid himself of them. See, what are projections, spells, and poison arrows? Line 3. Going leads to obstructions, hence he comes back. This line is informing a person that by telling another what to do, either inwardly or outwardly, he is creating obstructions in his relationship with the other. Even though he believes what he is doing is correct, he is also creating blocks in his relationship with the sage and the helpers. Telling another what to do is an encroachment in the other's inner space. Such encroachments violate the cosmic principle of integrity. In the case of a child, the one encroaching suppresses the child's inner feelings about what is correct and undermines his confidence in these feelings. It would be better if he simply asked the child what he feels. In the case of an adult, encroaching is a trespass against the other's integrity and undermines his feeling of self-worth. The person who presses in this way believes he knows what is right for the other, but what he knows is only what is conventionally correct. He also believes he can change people through reasoning with them, while in actuality, his doubt that they can find their own way puts a spell on them that blocks the sage from intervening on their behalf. He comes back, is counseled to bring himself back into harmony with the cosmos by ceasing to encroach and returning according to the advice given in line 1. Continuing to encroach would create a fate. See deprogramming procedure. Line 4. Going leads to obstructions, coming leads to union. Here, the person is involved in an inner conflict between two belief systems held by the ego. Going refers to allowing this inner conflict to go on, although the reason for the conflict may be a just cause. The two proposed ways of relating to it are ego-directed. Coming is advice to silence this conflict altogether by identifying the rationales and deprogramming them, then asking the sage to resolve the problem. Union refers to his returning to harmony with the cosmos through taking this inner action. Because the person is dealing with whole belief systems that are based on mistaken views of reality, it will take time for all their various supporting rationales to come to the surface. He will need to rid himself of all of these as they show themselves. Line 5. In the midst of the greatest obstructions, friends come. There are those times in life when a person has come to his wit's end, and it would seem that his problems will overwhelm him. The humility of recognizing his great need engages the help of the cosmos. Although the help may come from friends, inexplicable circumstances, or directly from the cosmos, It is all the same from the cosmic helpers that have inspired it. It is important that he recognize and credit this source. While many people may soon forget where the help came from and carelessly go on their way, the thoughtful person makes the experience a benchmark for the true source of help and for the kind of humility that draws it. The causes for the obstructions need to be recognized. They lie in beliefs such as, you have to do it all yourself, there is no help available, or nothing is worthwhile if it is easy, or the famous statement of Spinoza, which is the last line of his classic Ethics, all excellent things are as difficult as they are rare. A person can also receive this line when he sees a problem as bigger than it is. He is looking, so to speak, at a mountain while all he needs to deal with is a seed phrase of doubt. It is the doubt that things can be easy. Things are easy when they are moved through transformation, which is initiated by saying the inner no. See the inner no. A person can also receive this line when he has a life-threatening illness. Immediately, all the latent childhood fears associated with death rage again in his body consciousness. He sees death as bigger than life and an end to life. The sage informs him that he has nothing to fear, that death is not an end to life, but a transformation into an invisible dimension. Further, this transformation will not be accompanied by suffering if, at the appropriate time, he asks the helpers of death for help. They are the friends that come. See glossary, death. This line also informs a person that fears are not part of his true nature, but are implanted in his psyche by the collective ego during his childhood for the purpose of controlling him. They hide in his psyche, and from there they throw gigantic shadows. At their roots are false phrases and images that need to be deprogrammed. An example is the fear of saying the inner no, which may prevent a person from deprogramming aspects of the ego in himself. This fear can have its origin in the flattery, a good child never says no to his elders. See Hexagram 34, The Power of the Great, line 5. Fears also suppress a person's receptivity to the possibilities of help coming from the invisible world. Often the solution to a problem lies within him, but his fears make him look outward. By closing the synapses in the brain, fear creates a restricted frame of reference, which shuts out anything that does not fit into that framework. Deprogramming the seed phrases and images that give rise to the fear reopens a person's natural ability to perceive danger and respond appropriately. This natural response includes all of the helpers of the personality. See Freeing Yourself from Fears. Line 6. Going leads to obstructions. Coming leads to great success. It furthers one to see the great man. This line refers to a person who is confronted with problems and obstructions that he thinks are too great, and therefore he considers going or leaving the world behind. He needs to realize that all such thoughts come from the ego, which helps him feel hopeless and helpless. His seeing no way out has to do with his being locked into a set of spells. The most important one being a blame or guilt spell which he has put on himself, as, for example, that his life has been a series of mistakes. His big mistake is his belief that he is responsible for things for which he cannot be held responsible, in the cosmic sense. He also has either been unaware of the helpers or has forgotten that they exist. He needs to be aware that they have only been in waiting to be asked to help. This realization is the coming, that leads to great success. He also needs to understand that the sage, the great man, is available to help him understand his situation and to help him solve the problems that have driven him to this desperation. A person may also receive this line when he believes that the obstructions he has met are punishments of an angry God, which he must accept. At the same time, he finds them so unbearable that he wants to escape a solution that makes him feel even guiltier. He needs to realize that he is not being punished by an angry God and that he can free himself by saying the inner no to that idea. The obstructions that have presented themselves as an impossible task have been caused by a false sense of duty that the person must do the impossible. Furthermore, he believes he would be guilty if he did not do it, or at least make the attempt. An example is a person who believes it is his moral duty to care for his aging parents unto death. Such a belief presumes that there is no such thing as help from the invisible world, and that the person has the strength and capability, along with the moral imperative, to do the impossible. As a consequence, the helpers remain on the sideline, waiting for him to recognize, 1, that he cannot do, nor is he meant to do, the impossible; 2, that he needs help from the invisible world; 3, that he could free his true sense of duty by ridding himself of what he believes he ought to do; and 4, that he must free himself of guilt. C, guilt, blame and shame. C, freeing yourself from seed phrases and images, and freeing yourself from self-images, and deprogramming guilt.